Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you are watching this video, let me welcome you all to our channel Future Endeavors. So, today is Christmas Day. However, we'll keep on studying, and today we'll be starting a new chapter, which is the second chapter, and the name of the chapter is Motion in One Dimension. Okay, so without wasting much time, we'll be quickly moving on to our topic. So, take out your pen and notebook and make heading for the new chapter. This motion in one dimension. Okay. So first of all, before going on to the discussion, just briefly we will be having a description of the chapter name. Motion in one dimension. One dimension. So basically, what is the meaning of this chapter name, motion in one dimension? I think you can guess it a little bit. See, whenever we are talking about motion, the motion may be one dimension. Now, what do you mean by one dimensional? You must have all read about the coordinates. Okay, in geography of sea there are latitude and longitudes, isn't it? So, if you want to locate a point on the page or on a plane like a map, okay, so for that you need to specify two things. One is the latitude and another is the longitude. This is especially for the case of maps. Okay, now if we want to locate, say it is not a map but rather a plain paper, and we want to locate a point, or you want to mention the location of a point on that particular page. Okay, so see if I consider this board. This board is a plane. Okay, it has two dimensions. One is the length and one is the breadth. It has two dimensions. One is the length and one is the breadth. Now see, if we want to specify a point, say here we have marked a point. Okay, now we want to specify this point or specify the location of this point. Okay, say the point marked as X. Okay, now if you want to specify the location of this point, what you have to do, you can draw grid lines, okay, over this board. Okay, grid lines. Say you draw grid lines like this. Okay, this is the first grid line along vertical grid line. Okay, and say this is the first horizontal grid line. Okay, I think the view is clear. Yes, perfect. Now if you just keep on adding grid lines like this, okay, adding grid lines like this, okay, like this, and if you just draw the vertical lines also like this at equal distance, obviously it must be at equal distance. Okay, so this is a bit far away, so I have to erase it. Okay, now this is another line. This is another line. This is another line. This is another line like this. Okay, so fine. Now, if you want to actually specify this point marked as X, what you will do? You will say that beginning from the bottom, you count. This is line number 1. This is 2. This is 3. Okay, and this is 4, this is 5. Okay, and counting from the leftmost point, if you count, so this is line number 1, this is line number 2, this is number 3, this is line number 4, and this is line number 5. Okay, so if you want to specify the location of this point, you will say what? If we move horizontally, okay, from the bottom, the point needs to be located. The point is located between line number 4 and line number 5. And if you move vertically, then it is located in between lines 4 and 5, isn't it? So this is a two-dimensional coordinate system where you are taking the help of two dimensions, two lines basically, to specify the point in the plane. This board is a plane, okay, in the plane. Likewise, if you want to specify a point in space, say I am considering this pen, it is being suspended in free linear. Now if you want to consider, imagine that you want to consider the location of any point which is in between your room, in the space it is located. Okay, so for that you need to mention 3 lines. Okay, so one line you have to say what is, first of all you have to say what is the height of that point from the floor. Second is you have to say what is the height of that point from the, say there are actually in a cuboid or in a cubical shape there are actually 6 planes, isn't it? So you need to mention what is the height of that point from the floor, okay, or from the ceiling it may be, and you have to mention the what is the distance of that point from the forward and backward walls, okay, and there are also 2 other walls on the other sides. You have to also mention the distance of that point from those 2 walls, from either of those 2 walls. Okay, so like this you have to actually take the help of 3 dimensions in order to specify the position of that point. So this is all about dimension of a particular point or dimensional location of a particular point. Okay, now if I consider a particular rod, and say this is a rod, okay, and there is a particular point on this rod. When you want to locate this point, or you want to say about the location of this point on this rod, what you need to specify? You need to only specify, say this point is located 5 cm from the left end of the rod. That is the only thing that you need to specify. Don't need to specify any other dimensional distances. Okay, so this is the basic idea about the coordinate locations. Okay, so you have to understand that these coordinate locations are actually, if you take this location of the point in the pen or the rod, it is actually one dimensional position. If you take the position of this point on the board, it is a 2-dimensional positional system. And if you consider the point in the free space, that is the 3-dimensional location. Okay, now fine. So by now you have understood what is 1 dimension, 2 dimension and 3 dimension. Now when you are saying, when you are actually the chapter is motion in 1 dimension, when we are saying motion in 1 dimension, it means that the object is moving in such a way that it's only one coordinate is actually changing, the other 2 coordinates are fixed, remaining fixed. This is actually the basic meaning of motion in 1 dimension. Now, so the very next question that comes into your mind is, what is motion or what is rest? These are 2 very basic facts that come into the mind when we speak of actually motion. Okay, so before that we have also discussed about vectors and scalars in the previous chapter. Okay, so vectors and scalars, I think you have remembered the topic names, vectors and scalars. Okay, so what is actually scalar quantity? What is actually scalar quantity? So scalar quantity is actually those quantities for which you do not need to mention about the direction, only the magnitude or the magnitude of the quantity is enough with the unit. So those are the scalar quantities. And vector quantities I have already discussed, those quantities which require, for which you need to require the for which you need to inform the magnitude, unit, as well as you have to specify direction. Those kind of quantities are regarded as vector quantity. If you have forget it, please watch our previous videos, okay, on the chapter units and measurements, that we have discussed the vector and scalar quantities in details. Okay, so with that consideration that there is you have a prior knowledge about the vector and scalar, now let us quickly move on to what is motion and rest. Okay, or rather say rest and motion. So what do you mean by rest and motion? These are the 2 terms, rest and motion, very important. So first of all that I would like to mention is that these 2 terms are very relative. Rest and motion, these 2 terms are very relative terms. Okay, so these are relative terms. Why I am saying, let me just briefly discuss. First of all, let me just give the definition of these 2 terms, rest and motion. Okay, so what is rest and what is motion? Now if you want to note, you can note it. Okay, what is rest actually, or when you say an object is at rest? Basically, when any object does not change its position with respect to a particular frame. Okay, we will be discussing this in details. Please just try to understand the definition, or just take a note of the definition. When a particular object does not change its position with respect to any frame, okay, and obviously with respect to time, we are considering this with respect to a certain time, then the object is said to be at rest. So when an object does not change its position with respect to a particular frame and in a certain time, okay, the object is said to be at rest. So I think the definition is clear. If not, please pause the video, rewind back quickly, and please again listen to the definition carefully. I think you will be able to understand it. And on the other hand, what is actually motion? What is actually motion? So basically, when an object, just the reverse thing, opposite thing, when an object changes its position with respect to a particular frame, and this happens within a particular or certain time, then the object is said to be in motion. Okay, so the basic definition of rest and motion should be clear to you by now. If it is not clear, just take a little bit time to listen to the example that I am giving. I think it will be further clear. Okay, so what is rest and motion? So if I just want to give you an example, say you and your friend are going to school by bus. Okay, so when both of you are seated side by side in that particular bus, and you watch your friend, what do you see? You see him or her to be at rest, isn't it? Exactly. So your friend is actually at rest with respect to you, isn't it? It is clear. But think that a person is watching both of you traveling the bus, and the person is actually standing on the road side by side, okay, by the side of the road. What will he or she observe? That person will observe. That particular person will observe that the bus is in motion, because he or she is actually seeing that the bus is changing its position in a certain time with respect to him, or say with respect to a tree at the side of the road, or with respect to a pole at the side of the road. Actually, what we are saying with respect to, that is the frame. If I say that the person watches both of you sitting in the bus and the bus traveling, he is considering the bus to be at motion. Why? Because he is seeing, or he or she is seeing, that the bus is changing its position with respect to a particular, say, tree or pole, which is the frame, in a certain time. That's why the person is seeing the bus to be in motion. And as both of you and your friend are in the bus, you too, the person is also seeing both of you to be in motion. So see, at a time when you are seeing your friend to be at rest, a person from another perspective, another point, she is seeing both of you to be in motion. So that is why I have said that this motion and rest, these two terms are very much relative. They are actually interchangeable. Okay, just imagine another concept that when you are lying, when you are sleeping in your bed, you are thinking yourself to be at rest. Exactly, with what? With respect to what? With respect to the walls of your room, isn't it? But imagine a alien who is watching you from the outer space with a very powerful telescope. The alien can exactly see you in your room. Okay, so that alien is seeing you at rest or in motion. Think of this. I think you will get the answer. That obviously, yes, you can mention it in the comment box. What will be the alien seeing you from when viewing from the outer space? Okay, so this rest and motion are actually very relative, and we can particularly say that an object is at rest with a particular frame, and that very same object can be at motion with some regarding another frame. Okay, so these are the two terms. Okay, so today we will be just ending our lecture here, because we have already discussed about what is one-dimensional motion. We have also discussed about what is rest and motion. In the next class, we will be discussing some other the next terms of our chapter. There is distance and displacement, then speed and velocity, and then acceleration. Okay. So in today's class, we will be ending here. Please do watch the previous videos for revision, and please do wait for the next video to come. It will be coming very soon. Till then, please do study well, and if you have any query, please do mention it in the comment box so that we can solve your problems and queries. Okay, so with that, please do study well. Thank you and goodbye.